So set 12 now being on the live servers every single day. There are new lines, new comps, new theories, etc. that are being explored and tested, and some of them are fucking amazing. And in today's video, we're gonna go over one of those things. I'm not gonna spoil exactly what it is, but I know, and I can almost promise you, you have probably not seen this before. Real quick before we start the video, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. Yes, we are partaking in Box Bootcamp for set 12. I haven't been able to stream any of the games I've played just yet because I've just been busy with work, but tomorrow is Friday, and we'll be able to play a bunch of games and stream all of those. So I hope and look forward to see you there. The Twitch link right there, twitch.tv/workingwithkai. You know where to find me. But anyways, let's get on to today's video. Okay, so here we go. We are inside of the first ever VOD review of set 12. Now, as you can tell, this is my perspective. This is a game that I played, but I cannot take all the credit for this secret tech. Demasi Raptor, if you don't know who he is basically a mod in every single person's Twitch chat, but he was actually in a call with me. And if you don't know who he is at all, he's an incredibly talented player. He is somebody who has hit global rank 1, like across the world multiple times, meaning he had the most LP across anybody in the fucking world, you know? 2200 LP, really strong player. He plays on the EUNE server. Very, very, very solid and fundamentally strong player. I was in call with him because we were just playing some games, and then whenever he's not playing, he's like, I'm down to just watch your games and see what happens. And like, I'm the same as well. If he's playing, I would like to watch his games as well. So it's just kind of one of those things. We were just chilling in call, just talking. And yeah, that's basically all the content you really got to know about this. And again, I can't really take all the credit for the comp because he didn't know the comp, but he was theorizing it in his head, and he was like, this sounds kind of good, maybe we should try it. And that's kind of how this came to be. As you can see here, we do have a Seraphine 2 start. Nothing necessarily super strong, but the meta is sort of AP leading, so getting the rod here is very good, just because Karma is like the best forecast. But we talk about that a little more later. But first, let's talk about augments. 2-1 augments, Clear Mind, Draconic Mastery, and 2 Tanky. Draconic Mastery, dog shit augment. Fucking terrible augments. One of the worst performing augments right now, and we actually reroll it for Support Golem 1. Now, Support Golem 1, though, it's one of the best augments. It's like top 2. So if you're watching this and you already have a little taste of set 12, you're probably thinking like, oh, this guy took Support Golem 1, right? Surely he took Support Golem 1. There's nothing else he could have taken in this spot. What else would he take in this spot? Makes no sense. No. This is where the tech starts. Raptor saw 2 Tanky, and he goes, wait a minute, think about it. Doesn't 2 Tanky Blitzcrank sound kind of good? And I was like, what the fuck are you yapping about? That sounds like fucking ass. But then he was like, no, hear me out. Blitzcrank 3 is a really, really strong 1 cost. And he's right. It's one of the best tanks. 1 cost tanks is one of the best. Ziggs 2, really solid unit. Ziggs 3, according to his word, is decent. I'm like, okay, so what's your point? 2 Tanky is double trouble. And the double trouble effect is that it gives bonus HP to those units. Blitzcrank Shield, for starters, scales off of HP. So already, this is looking kind of good. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Maybe it's fine, but where's the damage going to come from? Are we going to really reroll like a Ziggs 3? It doesn't sound that great to me. And he goes, well, okay, but Honeymancy is also a thing. Honeymancy is, if you don't know what it does at all, it's basically like Laser Core. Back from, like, I think it's set 8 in Heroes. But basically, you get little bees, and all these little bees just like bizz, and they just fucking deal damage anytime the unit gets hit, or anytime the Honeymancy unit does damage. So that on top is a lot of damage. So the theory is this. Basically, because Honeymancy has so much innate damage, because the idea is that the board's gonna fucking survive forever, and Ziggs 3 is decent enough of a damage carry, you could potentially just play Blitz 3 Ziggs 3 and play 2 Tanky and play 5 Honeymancy and call it. I was hesitant, to say the least, because theoretically it sounds good. But if you know anything about TFT, even though something theoretically sounds good, doesn't necessarily mean it's always good. Usually it's a balancing issue. But because this was early set, because we were still not really playing in challenger lobbies just yet, I was like, you know what? I'm down to experiment. I'm down to try it out. I already finished provisionals at this point. Why not see what's going on? Let's see how good it is. Like, how bad could it truly be, you know? So that's the game plan. Reroll 1 cost, see where it goes. As you can see, we slammed Spark and we slammed the Warmogs. And actually, here's a fun fact about Honeymancy. It's actually a very, very good comp to try to lose streak with. While there is a lot of, you know, there's a decent amount of damage within the line and the trade itself, it's not like a lot. So what you can actually do, and as you can see what we're doing, is that we are trying to lose streak, kill as many units as we can, but still play the Honeymancy trait. And our board doesn't look fake by any means. It actually still looks pretty decent. And we even slammed the Warmogs here, which, typically speaking, very strong tempo item. But in this certain scenario, it just isn't really doing us any... It's just helping us survive a little longer to kill like a little bit of extra units. I want to say it's not doing us any favors, but it is. It's you know, we're killing some stuff. But as you can see here, on a 3 loss, might as well secure the 4. So I am scouting here, trying to make sure that I lose. So I'm going to try and trap the Blitzcrank in the corner, but I kind of brain farted and I messed up. But, you know, it is what it is. The important thing is, though, is that I got the big boy onto my bench, and that's what's important. So we secured the loss here. We actually killed another unit, which is great. So preserving a little bit of that extra HP. And it looks like after a 4 loss, going into 2-7 in neutrals, we're 81. So very, very solid. Not much to really talk about, really. It's just a level 5, just your standard 1-cost reroll. And if you don't know, basically, we just have not pushed level a single time throughout this whole time. Economically saved as much money as possible. 3-1 hits, we're going to roll just a very slight bit. But you might have noticed something. Look at these items real quick. Sword, Crit Glove, Cloak Bow. Pause. Sorry. Before we continue, because I don't want to spoil anything. Ziggs is a AP caster, right? Ziggs is an AP caster, but we just got dropped like a shitload of 80 items. Are you really going to play Ziggs reroll on the spot? No, you're not. Of course not. So what are we going to do? Instead, we are going to pivot, and instead of playing around 8 Ziggs reroll, we're going to actually pump level, fuck rolling on 5, and we're actually going to play around Kog'Maw instead. Because it makes sense. Our items are 80. We have IE Runans, we have Guardbreaker Runans, Last Whisper, a bunch of different options that are available to us. I think in this scenario, I think IE Runans makes the most sense, and that is what we end up slamming, and that is totally fine. I was actually, so funny enough, if you don't know, Guardbreaker Runans is actually a really nice synergy, and I was actually leaning towards it, so Raptor was like, no, that's incorrect. You want to actually make, the IE Runans instead, and the reason being is that because if you go Guardbreaker Runans, you are lacking AD. So I was like, oh, that's very smart. I did not consider that. But anyways, going here, Thorn-Plated Armor, Spell Blaze, and you have my bow. Now, because of our slams, we have an open belt, so yeah, my bow doesn't make a lot of sense. We just have a Nashers, and the belt doesn't turn into an item, usually you take those kinds of augments to like complete your 3rd item. So yeah, my bow doesn't make sense. Spell Blades makes no sense as well. Thorn-Plated Armor, theoretically, can't be bad. How bad could it be? Plus the fact that this lobby in general, in case you have been very, very prudent, is very AD leaning. Lot of Last Whispers, lot of BTs or whatever. So Thorn-Plated Armor actually makes a lot of sense in this specific lobby, and we can throw it on Blitzcrank, which sounds just even better. As you can see here, we do a slight roll here, trying to hit anything that is good, more specifically like a Kog'Maw 2. Didn't end up finding it, but I didn't want to dip anything lower than 32 here. 32 is sort of like the magic number, if you will. Just because once you're 30, if you make 30, then you make 40, then you make 50. And if you don't have a streak, if you have at least 32, you'll make it to 40. If you have a streak, then like you could go down to like 30 and you're probably fine. But as you can see here, we didn't hit it, but it's okay. We end up winning anyways, which is fine. Still a little dicey. We like to match the tempo of the lobby. We really do want like a 2-star 2-cost here. And our rolls were pretty efficient for rolling here because we were sitting on a lot of pairs, but we end up finding the Kog'Maw here, and it's pretty chill. So as you can see here, we actually get 2 tanky value onto our Ziggs here, and we are making 40. So it's looking pretty good. So despite the fact that, yeah, we do have the Nomsy in our shop, we could play 2 Hunter. Just having the extra Bs just is probably more damage. And also just like 2 Hunter in general just is kind of a fake trait, at least from my experience. I've never felt the need to put Hunter on my board. Even when you play Kog'Maw reroll, sometimes depending on the line that you're playing, you actually don't even play 2 Hunter anyways. So it's kind of a fake 2 trait. So I don't really try to play into it. Anyways, think about the items here. Ideally, Redemption is the best thing we can get here. I'm sorry. I think we have an open... What do we have? We have an open belt. We have an open belt, so maybe something like Guardbreaker sounds really good. That way we get 3 items onto our Kog'Maw. I think is that what we end up... Yeah, that's what we end up taking. Very good. So we end up taking the Guardbreaker here, and it makes sense at this point to make the Guardbreaker because we do already have the IE, which gives us a decent amount of AD for our base damage. So our items are perfect. 3 items on our Blitzcrank, 3 items on our Kog'Maw. Our item economy is looking fantastic, and our board is looking pretty decent. We're sitting on 50 gold here right now. Positioning is a little awkward here. I don't know why I positioned the way that I did here. But overall, board's looking really solid. And as you can see, look at these fights, by the way. We're like absolutely wiping these boards, and they're not necessarily bad boards by any means. Like we're solid. So it looks like we're gonna be slow rolling here. And by the way, with charms, now's a good time to talk about it. Initially, a while back during the PPE, I had theorized that it's possible that you might want to actually save up a lot of money before you start rolling down for your upgrades. The reason being is that charms are very economically inefficient. So when you are rolling to, you know, try to find whatever units and upgrades, if you see a charm every other shop, it's gonna take away some of the efficiency of your rolls. That could have been a unit, right? But the thing is that charms in general, and the really actually cool thing about it is that you really do want to have a charm as often as possible. Most of the time, combat charms are going to be actually a pretty sizable difference maker for a lot of fights. Now, obviously, up until stage 5, when they start showing up once every 2 shops, that's kind of when you really want to be making sure you have a charm like every single fight. But rolling 3 times for a charm, at least from the experience of both my study group and as well as some other players I've talked to, it just doesn't feel that great. So you don't really want to be rolling too deep for charms on stage 4, but again, stage 5 and onwards, that's when you really want it. And regardless, if you're going to be slow rolling, you're going to want to pick up those charms because that way you maintain your mid-game tempo. So that is why you see me slow rolling, despite the fact that, yeah, economically, it's not as efficient as trying to buy 1 charm once and then just rolling all your money at once. But overall, it's still good. It's still good practice. Anyways, going into the 4-2 augments here, balance, budget, explosive growth, and not today. Explosive growth makes no fucking sense because we don't want to level here. We're not Kogma 3 yet. Not today also makes no sense. Who the fuck's gonna want a GA? So balance budget is the only one we're really leading here. It doesn't sound that great though. Definitely want to reroll middle and right side, see if there's anything even remotely just slightly better. Epitaph's already sounding better. Item collector pops up. This is okay. When I said support golem 1 is one of the best augments, item collector might actually be the best augment. It's very, very close. They are just both generically so strong going to almost every single composition, and they provide so much value and just utility and stats for your board. And item collector is just one of those things that's just, it's basically an auto pick. But as you can see here, we are still slow rolling trying to find our units. We're not digging too deep. You could deep a little deeper here, but we are only at 3 Kogmas. So I was actually down to roll until about 30 here to see like maybe we hit something. Rolled to 30, still didn't find much. We're still like 2 off Nunu. We're still 2 off Blitzcrank. Ideally, Blitzcrank, you know, who's been like the big topic of discussion this whole time, is our 3-star main tank. Our read is that Blitzcrank is better than Nunu as a 3-star tank. I don't know if that's true, but from our experience, that just seems to be the case. This Blitzcrank unit is fucking nuts for a 1 cost, especially with 2 tanky, with the way that it scales off of the HP, plus our Warmogs that we slammed, plus the way that like the bees are just gonna be just constantly buzzing. It makes no sense not to just do this. So ideally, yes, even though we could hit a Nunu 3, Blitzcrank 3 is the goal. And actually, if we hit Nunu 3 first, I don't remember which one we hit first, but if we do hit Nunu 3 first, we're gonna probably still roll for that Blitzcrank, assuming that we have at least a little amount of money to work with there. So anyways, a lot of 1-cost reroll actually is also in this lobby as well. There's Witchy Wallop, there is some Spider Queen. A lot of 1-costs are taken out of the pool, so it is pretty likely that we should be able to hit this Blitzcrank eventually, sometime soon. We are slightly behind tempo, but it is what it is. Looks like going into the carousel here, we get a bow, which is great. It's Last Whisper, so we can actually move the Guard Breaker over to somebody else, and then Last Whisper goes onto the Kog'Maw, which sounds pretty solid. Guard Breaker probably could end up going onto the Ziggs, not really sure. We do find another Kog'Maw. We are 1 off, though, so ideally, this charm just is just more money, so we end up rolling a bit more. We find the Kog'Maw 3, which is great, and then we roll a bit deeper, but it looks like, what are we? We're 1 Blitzcrank off, so very close to capping out our board, but we're not exactly quite there yet. So we're gonna chill for a bit. We don't want to break 10, especially with charms being in the game now. Charms are expensive, man. They're very expensive. So once you break 10, especially in this set, it's really hard to make back that first 10 gold, and you might find yourself actually being like under like 1 interest for quite a long time because you just can't make that first 10 gold. So it looks like here it is 20 gold. I was down to roll a little bit here, but I think because the neutrals is just literally like 1 round away, there's no real point in doing so. I guess that's fine. But I mean, I guess I'm just a little antsy because I just really want this Blitzcrank 3 to go on my board. But as you can see, we have the Kog'Maw 2 sitting there, and it's kind of chill. So we're just chilling. Gonna just get through this round. Easy peasy, and 61 HP to win. So super solid. Everything's looking fine. We have enough damage. And the Blitzcrank, by the way, look at the damage block. 6.7k. That is fucking absurd. And this is a Blitzcrank 2. So imagine what this is a Blitzcrank 3. Like, we are chilling. There's not much else to really talk about, really. So let's just go into neutral and see what we get. Looks like we get a little bit of gold, a Wukong, we get a Component Anvil, which is fine. A tier could kind of just be whatever. Maybe just a Ziggs item like Shojin. Roll here, hit the Nunu 3, which is great. But that's not a Blitzcrank 3, so we're going to keep rolling here and dig, trying to hit that Blitzcrank 3. We finally hit it, which is great, because again, we are only 1 off, and hitting that Blitzcrank 3 is such a huge spike. Shoujo for the Ziggs makes a lot of sense, and now we are, unfortunately, still level 6, but we have 5 Honey Mancy. The board is online. So, now, just look at this fucking Blitzcrank, man. Just look at this Blitzcrank. Who the fuck is burning through that thing? That thing is so strong. It is absurd how strong this Blitzcrank is. So here we actually get Major Gambit as the charm here, which is like not necessarily a great charm you want to take in general. Again, starting from stage 5, you really do want just combat charms. But our board is so strong. Fuck it, why not? Major Gambit, who cares? As you can see, also, you might notice the positioning is a little different to what you might normally be used to. Everything is shoved to the same side. And the reason being is that you kind of want the bees to all be focusing down the same target. And that way, by, single focusing down whatever the enemy is, you get a lot of the DPS up. It's a lot of effective DPS, if that makes sense. When everything gets spread out, it's not ideal. You really want to hone down and focus on the same target whenever possible. So that is the reason why we are clumped the way that we are. As you can see, I am rolling here. I'm not trying to save money to go level 8 because even though level 8 is great, you want to roll for these charms. Charms are so important because they can actually be the difference maker for a lot of different fights. Like large charms like the Obelisk, charms like the Dragon, charms like the one, what's it called? The one that you, Desperate Plea. You don't fucking die? That's insane. So finding charms like these and being able to take them, they're very, very important, and they're actually very, very good for you to have almost every single fight. And again, we will hit 8 eventually. Neutrals exist, and neutrals are really large gold injections, and when we get those gold injections, that's when we can start thinking about, making back our interest and starting to get our level back up. But we always got to roll for these charms. They're just too important. So again, like I said before, once you are sub 10, really hard to make it back, but that's just part of set 12. Really try not to break 10 because it's tough. You might have to sack 1 to make 10, but I was talking to Ryder about this. He actually just disagrees. He's like, it's not worth sacking to try to make that first interest threshold. Like, you're better off just rolling, trying to get that combat power in and saving HP as much as possible. So that's what we are doing here. And again, that is like, that could have been a charm diff. We actually didn't buy one here because none of the charms that we got were good. But like, you can see how the charms are like effective in the fights. Like, they actually put a lot of oomph into your board. And the lack of one can actually feel really terrible, especially in the late game. So just keep that in mind. It looks like here, as you can see, again, another charm we get on Stable Treasure Chest, super good. And just, it's very, very solid. So as you can see, I think somebody else, the Build Different guy, I think he's actually double Olaf, which is kind of crazy. Build Different's actually one of the best gold augments as well. So a lot of top tier augments here, and this guy's by no means playing a bad board. He's actually playing a very, very strong Build Different board. But despite the fact this board is so good, it still loses to ours. Oh my fucking god. So that's how you know this board has so much potential, man. It's so crazy. His augments are actually pretty decent as well, and so are ours. So that's just how it is, dude. This 2 tanky Blitzcrank board, it's just so cool, dude. It's just so, like, it's just so fucking cool, dude. I remember playing this game and just, like, grinning, like, the whole time. Like, it's just such, it's one of those moments in TFT where the theory sounds so good and you're just like, I need this to be good. I want this to be good. And then it actually turns out to be good because this fucking game, sometimes it's just not good. It's just fucking terrible. But this is just one of those times where, like, the balance is on point. The units are on point. The synergies, the way that everything works together, it makes sense. This is one of those really cool moments in TFT, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to showcase this game. But anyways, going back to the game here, as you can see, we are still level 7. It's going to be a tough time, but again, gotta roll for those charms because this fight is tough, but this could have been a charm diff. Like, there are some charms out there that can definitely win us this fight, things like the Dragon, things like the Dodge Chance, so that's just something to keep in mind. But looks like we're going to roll again. We get 2 target dummies. That's good enough. You can't be too greedy with it because you still want to save some level of economy, right? And getting to level 8 would be kind of nice because then we get, ideally the best unit here is the new 2, but we had to sell it to try to hit some stuff. So that unfortunately was not the case. So we're probably just going to level 4 Vanguard for our Blitzcrank. That's probably the best thing we can throw in. So that's why we're holding on to the Mordekaiser here on our bench. But it looks like we do beat this Karma board. A very, very, very meta board to say the least. And it looks like Built Different actually fucking lost. So holy shit. So yeah, this game is looking pretty good. We actually get the level here, which is great. Don't get to have a charm for this fight, but at least getting Vanguard in is super solid. We could roll for the charm here. It's a little hard to say, but like if we miss on the charm, then like we're actually down a lot of money. So it actually just makes more sense to just level here and then go level 8 and then play Vanguard for the Blitzcrank, which is a known spike that we know. It's basically a guaranteed spike. We know it's going to happen and sit on our board. So very, very good stuff here. Anyways, let's start fighting against High Inferno here. Again, playing a very, very meta board. I think that's the Diana too. Really strong stuff. Witchy Wallop as well. I think it's 8 Bastion Poppy. Really strong fucking board. And it looks like it's going to be us 2 back. So again, we're fighting 8 Bastion. We are Honey Mancy 8 Bastion. Or sorry, they're 8 Bastion. We are 5 Honey Mancy. But anyways, 5 Honey Mancy here. Gotta make sure that we get a good charm. And it looks like we get this Sunfire Sorcery. Good enough. Gotta take it. Get the, little extra bees here. Why the fuck not with the emblem? And let's just watch this last fight. Well, we can watch it in real time because why the fuck not? But anyways, let's see the fight. So again, 8 Bastion, Witchy Wall, Poppy 3. He's actually not utilizing his trait to the maximum potential. He should actually have his Diana in the back row because of the way that 8 Bastion works. But nonetheless, still a very, very strong board to be playing into. And I think I actually thought I was going to be losing this fight. But actually looking at this, it looks pretty fucking solid. Most of his units are died. The Diana died pretty quickly. Poppy went down. Everything got single focus target down. And that is a GG. And this game was a first. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys see just the power and strength of this line. I think it's super, super dope. I apologize if I got a little rambly. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, and especially with 1-cost reroll, sometimes there's just like nothing to talk about, but you get the idea. It's all cool. We're getting back in the swing of things. Maybe I'll crack a beer the next time I do one of these. But anyways, hope this was helpful. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys are enjoying set 12, because I certainly am. Take care, guys, and happy clapping.